everybody, it's the Modern Geek, also known as Vamp Marion. We are back with another painting video. It is again AOS Fantasy Night. We are very much going to be working on lots of Warhammer AOS. We're going to switch it up, looking at more. So we have our Nurgle models, which we were working on Nurgle. But we're going to jump back to Nagesh for a little bit because I really want to get further on that model and really kind of show it off. We are getting closer and closer to some of the more established studio rigs that I'm working on, so we're going to be able to do some larger scale stuff. The first big scale project I really want to do is going to be our Blood Bowl Stadium. I put that on back burner for so long. I definitely want to do some crafting stuff with that. We started doing the dugouts, some other the aspects of it, so I definitely want to put that out there. So we will be working on that, maybe as a bonus video or maybe as other stuff. But yeah, so Nagesh and Nurglings. So lots of cool factions. We have our wonderful, pustule, great bug guys that we got to get painted up. We have our warriors, and then we have Nagesh. And Nagesh is a custom model that I did. We're going to be doing more custom kit bashing models in the future. I have a couple of really cool ideas for some projects. We're going to try to work on them. As always, if you guys like what you see, consider following the channel and signing up for notifications. I want to shout out my sponsor for this video, which is Undiscovered Realms, which is my local gaming store. They are pretty awesome. They will ship anywhere in the United States. They have Warhammer, painting stuff, all that good stuff. So please check them out. We're going to give people a chance to kind of shuffle in, and then we're going to delve right into Nagesh, and then we'll jump back to our Nurgle guys. As always, I always like to let you guys know, please consider coming and being a part of our live shows. You make all the shows better than us. I know I have the gift of gab, as I say it many times. But your ability to talk and bring questions and all that. Also, a reminder, this Friday, I'm going to try to do a Patreon show. Well, let's do this. I'm going to try to do a Patreon show if I get the Patreon up and running. I have a few little finishing touches to do for it. And we're going to hit the ball running. And make it super duper cool and awesome. And we'll start doing Patreon updates through it. It'll be a gaming-centric Patreon, which I think this channel is so in desperate need of. So you guys can show your support. Very minimal ways to do that, only a couple of dollars a month. And that's going to really help our channel. Because there's some really big moves and big things coming up that I definitely want to be a part of, and you guys are going to help. I want to fund some of those really awesome projects so we can all do them together, and kind of see what is up. I was thinking of doing some model building tonight, but I'm going to forego that, because I definitely have some pretty cool ideas for my Sylvaneth army. I want to do some potential kit bashing to them, but also design some really cool stuff, which will involve me getting some older stuff, which is why your funding and support is so helpful. All right, cool. I think I did enough talking for now. Let's which gave enough of an intro to this video. We're gonna move out our Nurgle guys just for a moment, get them out of frame, and we're gonna just dive headfirst into this massive custom Nagesh. So for what you may not realize, so I always like to point out to people that the Nagesh model that most people are used to is just this section of Nagesh. I've added an entire scene below him. This is a model that there are people out there that are other streamers and folks who talk about basic painting projects and kind of getting started in hobbying, and some what they call sort of their basic quote unquote basic rules. Well, I definitely broke a lot of rules with Nagesh because Nagesh is 100%. Nagesh is 100% way over the top. I probably should not have ventured into this project lightly. It was towards the beginning of when I don't want to say towards because it wasn't like towards the beginning of me painting. It was towards the beginning of me resurging into the hobby and doing more and more painting. I'm going to do some Balthazar gold on here. We're going to do that for the weapons because I'm gonna put some wash on these. I want them to look a little on the older side, like they've been rotted. Yeah, this was like towards the beginning when I resurged as like a hobbyist and a painter. And I definitely, bit off more than I could chew with this project. I had a lot of ideas, and one of the things that's really super nerve-wracking and scary, which I will say it, is when you are working on projects like this, especially a project like Nagesh. I mean, Nagesh is a $125, may even be $140 model. I'm blanking on his price right now. So when you start to try to do like customizations on a model like this, there's definitely an intimidating factor. Because when you start to think about it out loud, you're like, oh, I'm gonna customize my Nagesh, and then if you have to take a knife to it or start cutting it up, it sort of sets in at that point, just what your decision actually means. So, then your brain kind of catches up with you, and you start to say things like, wait a minute. So in order for me to do this, I have to like potentially destroy. All right, that's going to be wood. I have to potentially destroy $140 model. And if you get it wrong, there's like vines on it. Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't even notice that when I first saw that. Yeah, so I want to make this all look like, again, things are rotting, like I just want all of this to look aged. I didn't even realize there were flowers on this thing. That's crazy. So I'm gonna make all the wood like, alright, so I might actually have to use my smaller brush for this. I didn't realize how much details were on here. There's like all vines and roses because I forgot this is like a mixture of hex wraiths and all kinds of different death units. So the reason that these were left over is that this is one of those kits where you can build multiple types of units out of it. So I have to be careful because they actually have like lattice vines and like other stuff inside of there. And like I said, guys, please let us know if you have any questions, comments. If you're new to the game, new to the hobby, we love talking to folks that are newer to the hobby. I love one of the reasons I started doing a lot of my streaming. Oh, no. Ah. Oh, it's one of the worst things that could have just happened. All right, let's get a bigger brush. That's not full of water. So that's a good trick. If you have that dreaded drip, Just grab yourself a different brush that you can suck the water up with if you have too much water that came in. All right. And always, of course, when you guys are watching us, if you have any, like, knowing or sharing what you're working on, that is always really cool. And part of what we're going to do on our Friday night streams for the Patreon is going to be a different format. It's going to be kind of like an open talk format. Where, you know, I'm probably going to pull out, like, projects that I really love. So some of my more passion-based projects. And then you guys can share as well. But the idea, once the show really, really gets going, is I want to have you guys show up. So the patrons that have paid for that tier show up, and we would actually do. It's going to be more of a model hobby night. So you guys can come. We can talk. You can actually share. So through our Discord, you'll be able to share your models. I'll be able to see them, and then I can do like critiques and suggestions for actually fixing, or just like expanding what you already know. And then obviously, that's going to only be for patrons. And I want to eventually get to points where we can even do like painting challenges, or almost like a painting class where if you all want to like do the same model, we could do something like that. Or we could all be painting from the same faction, so we're all learning together. Like, I want to do like community-based painting / model building sessions. It could also turn into just like a plain review show too, which was a show I was trying to start on Twitch, but we didn't have always as much attendance. We had some people attending, but not as much, so I sort of postponed it. And my co-stars for the show, all I'm doing now is just trying to get this detail done. Like I said, I was not aware that there were actually like rose thorns and vines on these things, which I think are really cool, and I'm glad that they are on there. But it just makes painting this lance a lot more challenging. The good news is that I've said it a couple times. The metal, if I do make a mistake and I go over it with other colors, it will bounce back with it, so that's always a good thing. Well, you can see as we're painting the skeletons, it is starting to take on a very cool look. So, like, I already thought this model was super cool, but as I'm starting to add a lot of these, like, little details to it, the model is starting to pick up a lot more traction. The skeletons in general on the bottom, I knew were going to add a lot to it, but getting them a little bit more into done position is really starting to make that model. And then with the cotton and some of the effects that we've done so far, it really is starting to look a lot better. And I find that that's true of any model that you paint. Like, as you start to add the little details and nuances to it, It always elevates it to such a high level. There's little parts of Nagesh. I'm torn on how I want to finish off Nagesh. I know for some of our regulars it might be a little tough because some of them had some early days. I myself, know what that's like to have like an early day right after we do a late night show. It's tough. So have a funny feeling some of our normal cohorts may not find their way in, although I do find, and I said this a couple of shows ago, that the Twitch notification system, it's a hit or miss for some of you guys. I know sometimes people have commented to me that they're like, that I've gone a whole evening and the person didn't even know that we were on because the notifications were so bad. Which I get frustrated by stuff like that, because if Twitch itself is like not promoting you that fast, or like, it's because of their system not doing what it's supposed to do, like, that's not my fault as a content creator. Things like not starting on time or not producing like good enough content, obviously that falls on me as the creator making the content. But if the tools that the service I'm using don't like notify my audience that we're live, like, you're killing me, man. Because I know, and I feel really bad when it happens, but I know a lot of you have commented, like, you legitimately didn't know that, like, we were on, And I've sat there a few times and I'm like, well, it's not their fault. Lots of internet, services or systems have or go through errors or issues, but it's like, again, for a content creator, especially for a content creator that's trying to find their way, that lack of notification that doesn't bring some of those audience members to the stream when it has started, it kills your metrics, your stats, because then you don't have max viewers all the time, and so you could have this great stream where you think, oh, I did great, I had like a ton of viewers, but because like for maybe the first 10-20 minutes of your video you didn't have as many viewers, it just skews your whole number. And I'm like, that's not fair, because that's like, oh, you didn't have as congruent viewers, and we are so desperately trying to work on being affiliated. I know that sounds crazy. I always find it crazy when people on any platform who are already like marginally just have a lot of followers or have a lot of people talk about, like, we're just trying to hit this goal, we're just trying to do this, we're just trying to do that. But it just shows like how hard you have to work to kind of get those people to shine through, so it's an interesting conundrum for sure. But yeah, and I say it all the time that I feel extremely blessed, because we have, like, I feel a really great audience. I mean, like, I always am impressed with the audience that we have, both with the passion that they bring the just good attitude and good behavior. And just, I've had like so many amazing moments. Um, and we've only been doing this for a shorter period of time. I mean, my channel's been around. Let me just get us to the good stuff so you guys can see. My channel's been around for a little while, but I've kind of changed what my focus was. At first it was like very much like very general all gaming, and then it wasn't until I would say the pandemic where I really like started to I think lean more into the hobby space and my art and all that stuff, because there was a couple of things going on in my life at that moment, which was just it just was a tough moment in my life. And I kind of delved back into my art. And I was always like doing commission illustrations and drawings for people, and working on like concept stuff for people. But I kind of delved back into my hobby stuff, which I hadn't done for a while. And just realized how much I loved it. And then just started to really get my skills back. So I started to really see those skills come back. And then once I saw the skills come back, got back into doing commission painting and all of that stuff. And then, I had been doing or trying to do like Twitch gameplay and all that stuff. But then I realized, well, wait a minute. Like, I could be doing this on Twitch. And then it just opened up a whole doorway of like, well, I could be doing this on Twitch. And then I did it my first time, and I started to see people talking to me and asking questions, and it was just so great. And especially the people who are asking as first time players, like, what do I buy, what do I do? And that was really cool. And I was like, oh man. And this was like, I'm like, so this is a way we can all like come together as a community, and embrace that we love these things, but at the same time really start to explore how we can all be creative differently and better, and all of that. So I was like, ooh, this is like the most awesome So all I'm doing now is using Skeleton Horde. I'm just doing a lot of the like I'm doing a lot of the just flags and stuff, because again, the idea is that these guys are all earthing or coming out of the ground because he's resurrecting them. So none of this should be clean, pristine forces. Everything should look dirty. It should look raw. It should look, So everything should look like it's decrepit and deteriorating and all of that stuff. just kind of touching up some areas that I know need to be touched up. So those are the books or spell books of Nagesh. For folks that don't know, in the magic phase of AOS, he can cast 9 spells. He can dispel 9 times if you would like. Yeah, he's a legit beast. Like, he is a beast incarnate. All right, interesting. So we have what appears to be an interesting stream of viewers. Well, okay. Huh. Today is Tuesday, right? Okay. I'm like, am I doing the wrong show on the wrong day? I'm like, what is happening? Although I think, if I am not mistaken, there are some... all the stuff that's been this week has been 40k stuff. There was a little bit about Old World War. Is that what it's called? I keep forgetting what they're calling the new AOS. Or not new AOS. It's essentially the new, like, fantasy game. Which isn't, like, due for another... I don't think it's due for another, what is it, like, year or so? That game. But it's like... it's essentially like an old world, new world... And they're only making it to really compete with Kings of War. That's really what it's for, because they're losing so much fantasy. Basically, fantasy. Whoa. All right, so we got Nagesh in the house. I'm gonna do that as a crystal. Oh, did I not do the top of it? Of course, no, I did. All right, sorry guys. I'm gonna lean him this way so you can see him when I'm doing painting stuff. But this, of course, is Senor Nagesh. This is a modded Nagesh model that I created. It is pretty massive. I know a lot of my friends have always been making the joke of like. They all think that I made Nagesh like this because I was trying to make him higher, so he would have like super height for line of sight in battle. But a couple of notable things that we did to the model that it's a little different if this is your first time seeing this Nagesh model, is that you'll notice he has both the sword and book. So I sort of kit bashed. I took the elements of both that I liked. And then I also broke his legs. So in the original model, his legs are very, like, together, and they're very, like, down. So I actually snapped the legs. So you may or may not see, which I kind of works because he's, like, the god of death. So it's like his body doesn't have to really be together. But there is a gap in there, which you could definitely see if you look inside of there. You won't see it when you see him, like, floating. But I did that so that the legs, I actually cut the legs so they would look different. So I could get that more action pose, because I hated the way that Nagesh looked normally. Again, the staff, I cut his hand off of it so I could stick it in the ground. And then, of course, I created a whole pedestal as if he was raising the earth itself, with all skeletons coming out and him, like, affecting graveyards and bringing these skeletons to life, which I thought was pretty cool. And then, of course, necro energy going through the ground, and it's like it's pouring, and he's, like, you know, infecting the ground with it. I thought that was a pretty cool model. I know a lot of people do Nagesh sitting, which I kind of like that idea too. But going back to what I said before, this is where my expertise at the time that I did this, because this was a long time ago I started customizing this model, was just not there. So I always tell people, if you're going to go into kit bashing, just do a lot of research and look into it, and just be honest with yourself and say, am I ready to do stuff like that? Because I clearly was not when I first did this. This was towards the beginning of me getting a little bit more back into my hobbying. And I wasn't ready at all, for Nagesh and for that whole thing. So I definitely bit off more than I could chew, in that example. And then, as always, guys, please let us know what you're working on. I'm always a fan to hear. What did I do? Okay. I think I did the Balthazar. Did I do gold on that? So we're doing gold and purple. That actually would make more sense because it's not a bone element anyway. So I did that for the knee pads. Okay, so I did the knee pads as like a skull and then gold. All right. So let's get that Balthazar gold back. But yeah, guys, as always, I'd love to hear what you're working on in your painting tables at home. Or if you have questions, please do not hesitate to throw them out there. I say it every stream, but my Streamlabs is very bad at telling me who is out there and who is not. So if you are out there and have not said hi to us before on the channel, consider doing that now. And if you are an oldie but a goodie, also say hi, so we will know you've come back to see us. Yeah, Nagesh is interesting because there's like a I'm gonna have to I might have to re-glue some stuff on this because I'm noticing some shifting. Nagesh suffers from one thing I hate about like majority of GW's death models. They're so flimsy and delicate that like even when you're painting them, they like to move around and they have like a bounce to them or a twang to them. So you'll be painting it and you're like trying to get your like bearing, and it's so hard. Oh my god. I like this little idea of like, because that's not, oh, is it skeletal? Please don't tell me it's skeletal. Oh, did I do skeleton armor on everything else? I probably should have did it skeletal. Frig. But they don't look skeletal. Is it gonna look weird if I do that? What gold is that? I don't think that's Balthazar gold, is it? Oh, I guess it is Balthazar gold. Yeah, it is. Okay. Alright. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to take you on like a wild journey, but I've said this a few times over. When you paint lots of different models from different factions on different days and you don't really like stick with one faction and paint it a lot, it can cause some... I'm sorry you guys aren't seeing this. It's just so hard to get that angle without... So I think we're gonna go with. I think I'm gonna go with. Yeah. I do like using that. I do like using the gold. And it's very cool. I like having a little bit of gold accent because there's so much skeletal on him that like having the little bit of gold accent, like these make sense to be skeletal because they're so like stylized as a skull and bones. I may change his. Oh nope, that's very skeletal too. All right, so that's all got to be skeletal. Damn. All right, yeah, because that actually does look skeleton-like. I probably should have made the other thing skeleton-like too. It looks, you know what it is? It looks too clean. It looks too clean. It doesn't look like bones, but I guess all of his armor should be made of bones. Ah. I broke the rule on his hip as well. We're just gonna go with it. There really needs to be more gold because I made his helm have gold in it. So I sort of need to bring some other gold aspects to the model so that gold is a little bit more. Now that's going to be purple inside of there. We'll do more purple on him. Oh, I'm so scared to do this part. I hate doing inside parts like that. Would be interesting. Oh my god, this is gonna be a nightmare to paint this thing. Oh, that's actually not that bad. Part of it is also that like again, this was just so early. It was early for two things. It was early for me using the contrast paints. It was early for me to do customizations. Like I had just gotten back in. You know, I was painting with my Citadel paints, and then as I got back into it, then GW released the contrast paints, and what I should have done was not paint Nagesh with them. And the reason of why I say I shouldn't have painted Nagesh is because Nagesh was a showcase model. So I really should have waited until I felt very comfortable with the contrast paints, like I do now, to really get a good sense of how to paint him. Because I can, just looking at this model, there's a lot of stuff that I did on here that just wasn't good. Like it's not good. It's not good painting. So I'm almost gonna have to take an approach with this of like, it's almost like I'm gonna have to do a massive repaint on him. Because he's just, there's a lot of missteps, there's a lot of, you know, just, it's all like the common things that a lot of people do. I have a lot of half painted pieces on here, because I was learning how to apply the contrast paints. There's some application issues, so I have to really like delve a little deeper into my soul with this, because there's just a lot of potential for stuff to have been done, quote unquote, better on here. So this will be a fun model to watch me paint, because I'm going to have to, like I'm saying, strip this down a lot to sort of build it back up. So this will be a fun one to watch. Like all of this, like the fact that because there's a lot of me like figuring stuff out. So how you guys all doing tonight? Anything happening out there? Any interesting developments that you all have? Oh, okay, that's what's going on. So this is probably, is this Margot's completely dead? It might be. Ooh, that's like sludge. Okay. Alright, hold on. Let me get that out of this brush, because this is a very... Let's get a little bit of water. Okay, that would explain why none of this is like sticking. Alright, let's see what I can do with this. That's too... Is there a bigger area that I have to... Nope. It's all small areas, isn't it? God damn it. Alright, hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to work with this Margot's purple, which honestly is just like housed beyond belief, so... I'm trying to water it down just to... it's gonna look horrible. Yeah, it's gonna look uneven. Okay. Let me see this. Just trying to get it to like behave the way it's supposed to. Alright, there we go. That's gonna look good. There we go. Because basically, all of this Margot's that I put down at the beginning, it's so light. And part of why is when I first started to work with contrast paints, I used to do this weird thing where I would like ultra apply them as like light colors, which I've come to find is not at all the way that you should be applying them. You really should be getting like a nice, consistently thick application of them so they pull the right way. And then you can come in with washes and other stuff and, you know, bring in your, and then you bring in your, shading and highlights and all that stuff. So you start to bring that all in later. So that's why he's got a very washed out look to him. Sorry, guys. All I'm doing now is I'm just looking at where the purple is to see if there was like a missed opportunity with painting it, which I'm noticing there are several. I'm gonna bring Nagesh. I was gonna say I'm gonna bring Nagesh back from the dead, but that's kind of redundant since he is already dead. He is dead. You don't bring him back. He's a god. He brings others back. So I can't really resuscitate him from the dead. So all I'm doing, like I said now, is I'm just looking at the model and just trying to make sense of a few things that I attempted to do on here that were wonderful, things that I know I have to fix because they are not wonderful. I'm sorry that things are kind of not in focus either. I'm trying my best. All of this just needs to be, essentially painted properly. That would help. There's going to be a lot of touching up that I have to do. Oh, I don't know what that just said. Oh my god, there's so much of this model I didn't paint. Why did I do this? I know why, because I got frustrated with the way it was coming out and I tabled it. There's so much to do on this model. It's not even funny. I'm gonna constantly be looking at stuff. I think part of it is also just, I know we've been doing it on stream. I probably shouldn't do this model until I can do the real setup where I can have a proper camera on this. But oh, what is going on? I just got a message. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. I know that you come to see us paint, and then I'm doing all this other stuff. Wait, what? All right. All right, here, let's do this. Let's do little fun things because... Oh, wait, is that Gilliman? Oh, that is Gilliman. All right, so let's do it with this then. So stitching, I love doing this trick. Which is, I literally do the hilt in Gilliman, and then I just do the rest of the hilt in Skeletal Horde, and it works so well to just get a really nice, cool stitching. And it looks like you took a ton of time to paint all that, and it does not at all. So this is a great example of learning how to layer your colors. The reason I wanted to do Gilliman, and it's going to sound really creepy, is I wanted it to look like it was laced in human flesh. since he is the god Nagesh. This brush is starting to get really gnarly. Alright, I gotta get all the dry paint out of it. Okay. And then I'm just gonna do this. Oh, it would help if I could do this. Alright. Again, guys, I'm sorry that I have to keep so all I'm doing with this is I'm just all I'm doing is just lightly putting that Gilliman back on, so I can sort of rectify and correct an issue that I definitely created on this with not having it properly. Again, it's this idea. There's a lot of painting on here that I'm not happy with, because I just was struggling with it. I remember it well, like I liked what I was doing, but I was like getting annoyed at myself. And then when the customizing, a lot of the form factor of the model didn't work for me, I got so angry, and that's why like I just 100% like tabled it. And I remember it like clear as day. I just like, because originally I tell this story about this model all the time, but I like cut the model up. I literally like cut a lot of him up so that it was like really, really like, because I was trying to make him sit down. And what I realized when I did that is that I didn't have really the know-how at that time to sculpt. I mean, now I do, but I didn't at the time that I was going to do that. So, and that's why I want to start doing some of those sculpting projects on the channel, where we do a little bit more customizing. But that's going to take a minute. All right, now what is going on here? Okay, I see what I was going to do. All right, and now this is me also refiguring out my own plan, because that's another thing. I say that all the time. Really, if you're going to get into a lot of maybe variety of factions or even a variety of units, write down notes. You know, I always say to people, I recommend notes all the time. This is heaping, hollering. I gotta find a way to hold this. Okay. So I think this is the move. This is the strat. Oh no, that's not. I don't want to go on that. I want to hold. Yeah. Basically every time. This is so hard. Okay. Sorry guys. I'm like fighting this model with you. I had a lot of different ideas for Nagesh. I know we're like jumping around. I did a little bit of skeletons. Now I'm jumping onto Nagesh himself. I feel like I'm like I'm hopscotching like all over this model. Let's see if the close-up cam can do this justice. Did I want to do what I'm doing? I guess I have to, right? Because I'm doing this. I don't know. I mean, it'll still look like bones. It'll just look like golden dipped bones, because like, you know, he is the god of death, so like I wanted him to have some gold in him, because like he is still like the king of the dead, essentially. Oh my god. I'm trying to give you guys an angle. Oh my god. I'm holding this in the weirdest way possible. I'm also supporting it on things I probably shouldn't be doing that on. It's so bad. Like I said, guys, please let us know what you're working on. Please do not be shy. If this is your first time, say hey, let us know what's up. I mean, even the brushes I was using at the time that I did this were like wrong. I didn't have half the equipment that I have now. But I was like Lord of Death, man. I loved playing Death. Alright, I gotta stop having the two cams in the shot. I'm definitely gonna break these lances at some point. Alright, so what I'm trying to do is just get the undertone of that metal. And then when we get back to the bottom, he's gonna go back to being skeletal. So I'm gonna have skeleton horde going down the back. And then that's going to complete the headrest. Because I wanted to have gold inlaid with the... I mean, he is looking good. It is not looking terrible. We definitely have to do some shading and other stuff, but... it's looking like what most people would expect Nagesh to look like. Again, Nagesh is a tough model because he's kind of a simple model to paint, when you really start to think about it, because he's got a lot of simple colors. But I always say that death models are hard because the tendency for a lot of people when they paint the natural tendency to paint when painting a death model is to go like very I'm just gonna have to do it this way. I promise this week I'm gonna work on our cameras so we can have a little bit more of a top-down camera, so when we're painting a big model like this, you guys can see everything I'm doing, because now it's just hard for me to show you. Because I can't get his whole model in shot, so I'm like doing certain things but not showing you guys, and I hate that. I think we're going to switch over the Nurgle models in a minute anyway. But yeah, I'm going to get the other studio. It's like very close to me just being able to sit down and do what I got to do. But I'm going to try to get it so... so we can get things progressing in the right direction. But we will get to the point where I can just like film larger models like this, because like I said, it's going to also help us with other projects I want to do. I want to do like our Blood Bowl arena. I have all the components and pieces for it. I just haven't worked on it. And I can imagine, like, when we're doing something like this Nagesh model, it's got to be, like, frustrating for you guys because I'm, like, moving the model around too much. And, I'm just trying my best. It's a little tough when you don't have... you know, all the areas the way you want it. All right. So now we have a little bit more of that detail work up there done. All right. I've seen people even turn Nagesh into like a Tomb King god, which is a very cool idea. I was thinking of doing that to him when I was going to make mine, but like I said, my ambition quickly waned when I saw how hard it would be to do a lot of those things. Which my hat was always off to people who like could do that right away, but like I said, since then I've learned a lot, so I can do stuff like that now. But the reason that I've never really explored that on the channel is because it takes a lot of our funds just to do some of these models. You know, just to get the regular models that are like not the custom ideas. Takes such a large part of my budget that it's very hard to have. It's hard to have budget left over to do mods. And then what I came to learn very quickly about the process of considering modding models was, again, what I started off saying when we started talking about this model, which is you have to, if you want to have a normal one, you have to be able to buy two of them, and sometimes for some mods you may even have to buy multiples of the same model, and that can be very costly. So, that's why. So we're getting him tidied up, which is good. We started to tidy up his armor a little bit. Started to tidy up his skeletal stuff. I think what's going to have to happen is I got to just push him a little further off camera, and then we'll do the final together. But again, beautifully impressive model. It's just, and we did some work on the skeletons on the bottom. It's just going to take me a really long time. I have to get a lot of the detail done, and it's such fine detail, and again on stream it's just very hard because you have to position them a certain way to kind of get what you want to get happening. So it can be a little on the frustrating side when you're working with them. All right, let's get to some Nurgle, which is very easy to show on camera. So this is where we got our Nurgle to last time. I know one thing off the bat. I want to get the roping done. There's so much in that model. It's not even funny. There's so much stuff. Oh my god. There's just so much stuff. It's not even funny. I'm just like looking at it from afar, and there's so much more armor to do. There's so much more skeletal stuff to do. It's just amazing. But again, if you mod him and you like flex him a little bit, he's a great model. All right. Anyway, we're gonna use. Oh wait, did I use skeleton or Gilliman for this sack? I don't remember now. Because if it looks exactly the same, then I know that I used Gilliman. I don't think so. I feel like I used skeleton. Oh no, I didn't. I used Gilliman. Shoot. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll just really lay on the Gilliman thick. So it's a darker Gilliman than our I know, I was right. I didn't use the same one. It looks different. Okay, cool. Well, either way, I'll just go over it with a couple of more codes. Well, I kept, like, passing it, and I was like, oh, I'm like, never, ever doing the thing I need to do, which is that robe. Doing the chain on here. I'm gonna take some lead belcher to it so it's not as shiny, because right now it is a little bit of a pretty pristine shiny chain. And again, being Nurgle, they don't really have shiny stuff like that. For this, I actually want the Margos again, because I want to do that purple on the pustules. For this one, I'm going to do it because it'll look good on that. So I just want to put a little bit of purple on there, because that little bit of purple is going to make it look like slimy. But then I'm probably going to come in with some of my other colors. So like the Griffin Hound orange, I'm going to do it where the yellow is. So I'm going to kind of play them off each other so we have like a little bit of a mixture of so then it kind of looks like we have different types of growths on there. And then since that's back to green, then we'll put our typical, I'm trying to see if we have any other little Nurgle mark on there. Give that a little bit of like a Nurgle-y like pit of disease in there. I love painting Nurgle models. I love them so much. Their Nurgle goodness. So good. So good. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to do a null oil trick. Which is part of why I painted these this way. So I could just do null oil. This was a trick I learned on my Tyranids. So you just pop the null oil in those joints, and then you'll see they'll instantly kind of pop up. They'll instantly come to life, which is so cool. And that null oil will just kind of like sit in there. Pop that in there. And as I told you guys, when you're doing Nurgles, that's why I love Nurgles so much, because you get like a free pass. Where your Nurgle can kind of look bad, but it still looks good. Now we're going to do null oil on this chainmail, which is going to make the chainmail even better. It's going to look like real chainmail once we're done with that. It's not going to look like, you know, pristine new chainmail anymore. I don't know if you guys can see, but the detail you get back when you put it in there is unreal. Like, it completely takes on a different life now that we put all that null oil in there, because it goes into all of the cracks and brings all the definition of the chainmail back. You know, so people, you might hear people refer to what I'm doing as like inking metals. It's the same concept. It's just that when you ink a metal, I mean, you're essentially doing what a wash does, which is you're putting the ink in there so you really make contrast of the links in the chainmail. What this is also doing is it is dulling the shininess of the metal. Because again, when you think of characters that are battling on a battlefield, like most armies that are like veteran units or guys that have fought in a lot of different battles, they're not going to they shouldn't have like pristine armor. They should look like, you know, they should look like they've been in battle, they've been fighting. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going into areas of the model, and I'm bringing some of the darker tones back out there. And again, I'm going to use the null oil. I'm going to use the null oil to bring a little bit more drama to certain areas of the model. So we have a little bit more definition in areas that are joints. So this is exactly, and I love when we do multiple painting nights. If you were here Monday and you saw me painting the Marvel Crisis Protocol character, this is all the same technique. I'm not doing anything differently. So all I'm doing now is I'm just emphasizing the brittleness of a lot of this, bringing a lot of those, pock marks and blemishes into focus on the armor. So that's all I'm doing right now. Because all of that armor and all of that disease and that breakingness and sometimes you got to bring all that detail back as you paint. But now you can see just by the little bit that I've done, and you can start to see now he's got like various areas that are starting to get darkened. Look, so we have a very different looking Nurgle unit. And personally, I think he looks really good. Now, a couple of other things I gotta do is some other effects-based things. But his armor definitely looks more, worn than it did a minute ago. So what I do have to do is this lenticular, this technical paint where we get a little bit of a luminance to it. Goodness on there, a little bit of this luminance, and then watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of double whammy hit it. I'm going to use luminance for part of it, and then I'm going to go back in I love how this Nurgle guy is coming out. It's so good. We're just gonna... So I'm just gonna put a little bit of null oil, which... You'll see, even with the luminance in there, I don't want... That's why I did the luminance first, because now it looks like Nurgle disease is on that sword. Which is so cool. It's so cool. Now I'm gonna have to wait till the sword dries, and I'll be able to put. I just want to put a tiny bit more. In there, and we definitely have some other touch-up areas. I'm noticing. Okay, ooh, I have a big giant. Let's do that one, and not red, orange. Yep. Because I haven't really put orange in other places. And then what I want to do also is on the claws. I want to start them off. The claws, I want to do null oil on those too. Like I said, guys, I push all of my models so far. I always do. That's why the Nagesh is going to take me forever, because I want to really, especially that one, because it's like a centerpiece, but so what this is doing is it's creating a little bit of a gradient. Again, it's all about, when you think of your model, you want to think of it in terms of like contrast. So when you think of your model, you want to think of it as, how is my model being seen from all angles? And now what you're experiencing here is that because I'm making it very, very dark, you guys will see what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the tips of this like super dark. So this is going to oh man, I'm losing steam. That looks awesome. That looks so good. That looks so good. I really, really like that. Alright, let's do the Balthazar gold. Oh, there's a thing on the bottom here. I'm gonna have to. That's the sigil for them. They always have the 3. I gotta do touch-ups on that because I have to do the green in between. Bit of editing here. I'll try something. I'm gonna mix golds. I wanted to mix golds just so there would be like a little bit more contrast on it. Like the same thing on the other side. It's like just putting it on the middle of the sword. So you guys will see what I mean. Because when you do it this way, then when it's going against the balls, it looks better, and then it just gives the blade a focal point. So now the blade just has an edge highlight, which looks so much better. That's like the little touches. That's the little stuff that like you start to figure out and you're like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. And it just looks good. It just like looks better on your model. My Margos actually got closed. Yeah, but that Margos is like super. I think they got left open by accident, which is my fault. I'm gonna have to do a repaint order where I'm just gonna have to get a couple of tubes of a couple of things because I'll take inventory of my paints and I'm gonna have to do like a pretty substantial order. Perfect. So then our Nurgle diseases are working their magic. What is that? Oh, that's gotta be, okay. That's gotta be Gilliman. Let me do that Gilliman really quick. I just want to get him done. Like, I'm obsessed with, like, finishing him because he looks really, really good. I'm really, like, I am super happy with how he's come out. Like, both of my Nurgle guys so far, I'm, like, really enjoying them. I have to prime the rest of the Nurgle troops. I built the whole box. It's a pretty good box. There's a lot. You get a lot of plague guys in there. So I'm going to have to rectify that, but there's a lot. I don't know what he's called, but there's like the guy that's like the voice or something. He looks cool. He's got like a list and stuff. I forget what he's called, what his like actual name is. I don't know what the heck that's supposed to be. I'm gonna just... maybe that's supposed to be green. I think he looks... I really just... I like this new aesthetic I've created for Death Guard, which... I'm pretty just stoked about. Yeah, I think I just noticed this didn't go all the way. I say it every time we paint a white model. You really got to be on your game when you have white models in there, because you will definitely see your imperfections 100% all the time. You will always see those imperfections 100% of the time. This is Ruin Lord. See if there's any other. Oh, look at that. I didn't. That's pretty crazy. I didn't paint under that. I'm telling you, man. It'll always show you. It's crazy. Yep, it'll always show you. You'll always see where you missed. And I'm one of those people, which a lot of people would say, well, like some of these areas you're painting, like you don't even see it. But like I'm definitely one of those folks that would say something along the lines of like, I know, but I know it's there. You know, and I think a lot of people who paint, I don't want to go because I've sort of like formed all of this great texturing. Oh, that's not that. Okay. Oh, but that is. And that is. That's awesome. Oh, he looks so good. He looks so awesome. I just love the texture. Like, it's so Death Guard. It looks so Death Guard. It is so that Death Guard stance. They look a really small, though. Like, it's one of the things that I was intrigued by. I felt like they should have been, like, more brutish, but they really weren't. You know? I'm curious. What would this look like? I want to try something just, like, for fun. Oh, hell yeah, that works very well. Okay. That works. That works so well for what I was trying to do. All right, we'll let that dry, and then I'm going to paint over with something else, and we're going to see what happens. I'm doing a little experiment on the base where I wanted to do that, like, pustules, like disease pustules on the ground, and then I want to do, like, Gilliman on top of it and see what it kind of looks like, and then come back in and do more. And I think it's going to look like pustule craters. Because that luminant paint is, like, actually good for disease stuff. Not just, like, making that glow on the Necrons, which I was using it a lot for. I'm now using it for, like, diseases. Alright, well, we've gone for an hour and a half. I think I'm going to call it here. We really worked on Nagesh and our Nurgle, which Nagesh, we worked on the skeletons below. We started tidying Nagesh himself up a little bit. I apologize that the Nagesh part of the video was very, very uneven, but he's looking pretty good. Like, we started to build his armor a little bit, and I'm just noticing just a lot of opportunity with, like, getting some things tidied up. So I think what my goal with him is going to be is to really push him off camera so that when I come back to camera, you guys have, like, a really good model experience. But he's looking super fine and just super awesome. I really do like it, but definitely just have to go in and start tidying up certain areas and just keep pushing it. But he's gonna look very cool, and then obviously a lot of his customized elements have to, you know, get sorted out. And then we did work a little bit, did work quite a bit on our Nurgle. Nurgle is the next big thing. We're gonna do some Sylvaneth as well. But I really just love how this is coming out. Just a little bit of touching up has to be done. Just a couple of little areas, and then we can go back to our other Nurgle guys that we'll start painting. As a reminder, we have a Discord server which you can sign up for under Modern Geek Gaming if you look that up. And we would love to have you guys join the Discord server so you can share all your different things. As always, if you like what you saw, consider following the channel, signing up for notifications, let us know so that you'll know when we're live. And we're just going to keep rocking and rolling as we always do. You know, as I always say, you guys really do make our channel and our time so awesome. And if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this awesome stuff. And just, I really want to see us grow and get further. I don't know, we keep really having some strong strides, and then we go back to not having strong strides. So I really am asking and calling to those who do come and watch us, please consider sharing this with other people you might know that you think might find it interesting or fun. And then, you know, please let us know what we can do better, and just stay tuned. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening. I'm reaching out to more and more companies every day to try to review and get things, you know, out there. There's a lot of really cool stuff. Tomorrow night we're gonna do some game mats, so gonna be working on some custom game mats, and my goal is to actually sell those game mats. So I have some really cool ideas, but I have a special surprise. We're gonna start one from scratch, in celebration of a very cool collectible card game that's going to be coming out this summer. So I'm very excited. So come see us, be a part of the show, and as always, we love having you. And please follow, sign up for notifications, check out my website, Patreon, and tip/donation button. And we'll see you guys all at the next show. Take care, everybody.